V'shilashta tered me'od. And Yehonathan tells David, and on the third, you will go down very much. On perhaps the third day, or anyways, he'll explain. Pirush v'shilashta shitase shlishis. Segel chulu, that you'll make a three like a segel. Haga, and this Machzah, this Haga on this v'chein Amru Razal. So to our sages said, al pasuk v'hashlishis yuvaser ba, and the third will remain in the city, probably by the Nevuah of Yechezkel, where he tells him to cut his hair into three parts. And the third part of it he'll burn, part of it he'll scatter, and part of it will remain. Elu Yisrael, what's the third? That's Israel, Shehen Mishulashim. They are three, Kohanim Levim, Yisraelim. The Kohanim, Levim, and Yisraelim are three parts of Israel, and that's the three. Vechein Gimel Avos. So to the three fathers, Omrim Gimel Pamim Kadosh, we say three times Kadosh. B'medrash Rabbah Suf Parshas Vayeschanan Gabe Shema Yisrael Ein Shom. Medrash Rabbah Nimsa Nikro Shlishis. So it's found, we're called the third. V'zeu Inyan V'shilash Techul. I'd kind of go, and that's the concept of, and you should be three. To explain this idea in Iksiv, so it's written, that you will be a treasure for me from amongst all the nations. So he's going to explain the idea of Segol as Segula. Greater than all the nations upon the earth. What does this mean? More than the nations upon the earth. Tasuli mehem segula, that you should make for me from them a treasure. Mikol ha'ami, meaning take all the nations and make a treasure from them for me. Kimi birurim she'osin Yisrael mikol ha'amim, because from the purification that Yisrael does from all the nations, osin mehem kemo segol chul, we make the idea of a segol. And you know, and the concept is, so what's the connection between Segol and the Birurim of the nations? That this, opposite this, the Elokim made, and just like you have love and fear and holiness, so too you have bad emotional attributes in the Klippos. Vishmal hu b'chinas chesed de klippa, and Yishmal corresponds with the kindness of klippa. Dainu b'chinas ha'yispashtus shelo gadol me'od. That is to say, his spreading out, very much so that he expands himself. So that's chesed de klippa. Chesed is kindness and expansion. V'kamoshikasu bo b'Yishmael yadu bakol v'yad kol bo. Like it says by Yishmael that his hand is in all, and all the hands are in him. Pirush Yado Bekol V'Targum Unklos. What does it mean? His hand is in all. The Unklos translates Hu Yehid Sarich Lokol, meaning he will need all. He will need everyone. That's an Olom Shitzrach of Mirubim. That is, his intention is here is that his needs are many. Ha'hepech Mimi the Saistapkus, which is the opposite of the attribute of that you feeling that you have enough and making do with what you have. So that's what it means, Yadu Bakol, meaning he has a lot of needs and desires that he wants met. El al derech sham rozal, but this is similar to what our sages say, Bibilam, V'ruach Gavoa, V'nefesh Rechava, that he had a high spirit and a wide soul. Perek Heda Avos Mishnah Yud Tes, meaning to say, Rav Taiva, that he had a lot of desire. He wanted a lot of things to fill it up with. And that's what it means. His hand was in all, and he needs everything. Mispashet alcohol, and he spreads out over everything. Because his needs are many. Because of his high haughtiness and greatness. So too, in particular, in the animalistic soul, there's this attribute in man, that according to the way a person holds himself, how important they are, they have to conduct themselves with greatness. And to spend a lot. And you can't spend only a little. And it imagines that he needs this, just like a person would need the actual basic necessities. And this is all because of this attribute of the kindness of the klipa, the attribute of Yishmael, machmas hagadlus v'arom, because of the greatness and exaltedness of the concept of chesed of klipa. And the opposite of this in holiness is a lowness of spirit and a humbled soul. Must be low, that even just a little is enough for them. It's enough for him. That is because in the supernal attributes beyond Atzilus, that the chesed is called gedula. So in Atzilus it's called chesed. Sfiras chesed. When do we call it gedula? Gedula v'gvura v'tiferes. That's beyond Atzilus. Because the kindness is coming because of the greatness of the Eibishter. So there's automatically kindness coming from that. So it's coming from the gedula, from the Hisgalus HaKesed. So on that level, the chesed is called gedula. And that's why one of the midos of Rachamim is and great of kindness. Of ala chesed la'Avraham nimshach mitzad of bittul, but the chesed of Avraham comes because of bittul. Ki Avraham ever machlu, because Avraham is also the letters of the limb of what? Of bittul. Ma meaning bittul. So Avraham represents bittul, the kindness of bittul, not of gedula. But Yishmael, he's what fell down from the breaking of the vessels, from the attributes of Tov, from gedula. That was in the concept of haughtiness. That's why he is in this aspect of an existence for himself, and high and big, that he does not satisfy himself with just a little. Look in the land of where it talks about the land of hills and valleys. So too you have this concept of the gvura of klipa. So we just explained Yishmael, but there's also Gvura. Which is the opposite, truly, of the attribute we just explained. And this is the concept of being greedy and not giving out at all. Not to give anything, because his eyes is he's thinned his eye and made it looking only very painfully at giving anything. And this is the opposite of the attributes of holiness, of the attribute in holiness, that it says that from heavens it gives, but it doesn't take. So the concept of the heavens is it likes to give and doesn't keep for itself and take for itself. V'af migvuras de kedusha mimena nimshach ikar achayus, and even from the gvura of holiness, from it is drawn the main life force. Al derech gvuros geshamim, in the way of the strength of the rains, shiordim gvura, that it comes down with gvura, that the concept of gvura of holiness is giving, like the rains are giving. They come down in gvura because it's abundant giving, not just a little giving. And the division of the rain, the gvura of it, is in order to give. V'haraya, and the proof of this is this idea. Beis Shammai omrim betruma ayin yofe echad mishloshim. That Beis Shammai says in Truma that what's a good eye? 1 out of 30. 1 out of 30. That's what you give to the coin. Beis Hillel omrim echad me'arbaim, and Beis Hillel says 1 out of 40. Mishnah Perek Dal de Truma. So Beis Shammai shin megvuros. That Beis Shammai that comes from gvura. Omrim lios hanasina b'yeser seitzchu. They say that you have to give more, with extra strength to give to the coin. Because the concept of gvura and judgment is that the heavens were not meritorious in his eyes, even the heavens. That even when you're giving 1/40th, that's still not proper. So to say that the gvuros geshamim, that when you want to bring down the rain, you have to have gvuros geshamim. In order to give a proper, that the heavens should be proper in his eyes, it has to come down big gvura, I guess. That is to say, because the gvura in kedusha is also in a state of nullification, and like the statement, who is the strong one, the one who controls his yetzer. That's bittul. The concept of controlling your yetzer is bittul. But that which fell down in the breaking of the vessels, that's like the idea of strong like a lion. So it's the other kind of gvura, not gvura in holding yourself back, but gvura in being strong like a lion. That kind of gvura, it tramples and hits and hurts. Why? Because the difference is that kind of gvura is a way of feeling one's existence and haughtiness. Therefore, that kind of gvura is drawn, give to me, and only for myself. I'd kind of look what it says in Likutei Torah about the concept of give. And from this it spreads out the anger and the being judgmental upon people, caring if someone wrongs you. That type of strictness and strength is from the leftovers of the gvura, the dregs of it, hakashos, the harsh ones. And the source of this expression of gvura is the feeling of self, that you only love yourself, and one's eye is bad upon others, not to give them. Now these two bad attributes, they're drawn from the extra and what fell down, that came from the breaking of the vessels, makadusha, from holiness. Like the statement of our sages, not like Avraham, that from him came Yishmael, that from him, meaning to say, from Avraham, from Chesed, came Yishmael, the extra of the kindness, the kedusha of holiness. It fell to be the kindness of Yishmael. And from the leftovers of Yitzchak, of Gvura, came a Malik. I'm not totally sure this idea of a Malik being greedy or how that plays out in the psukim of the Torah, or what they did that was particularly greedy and kamsanos. But nonetheless, that's the idea here. I guess it's, I mean, a Malik is obviously connected Esav. If Yishmael is Chesed, Esav is Gvura, but here it's specifically a Malik, which is interesting. And a person needs to flip over darkness to light and bitterness to sweetness. And love and fear and holiness. To purify these bad attributes and to change them. Maybe it's because in Avoda, the concept of a Malik is more of an idea than the concept of Esav. A Malik is gonna get the Oref, and it's the concept of Kaltkite and Yudeo Ribunum, Skaven Limbrod, but because so there's Inyanim in Avoda about a Malik more than Inyan of Esav. So since we're speaking in terms of Avoda, of the Midos, Hanefesh, perhaps that's the idea. Vinyan Habirur Shilahem, the concept of purifying these Midos, who Vayashiris Yaakov will be the leftovers of Yaakov, like we said Shilashto in the beginning here. Ashlishis Ivasirba. So Sheris Yaakov, Dainu Lekayim Hashem Rizal. To fulfill what our sages said, Al Pasuk L'Sheris Nachalaso, on the verse, to the leftovers of his inheritance, L'Misha Ose Atzmo Keshirayim, to the one who makes themselves like the leftovers. Shu Mosar Ba'olam, that they are, so to speak, extra in the world and not needed. It's the concept of, again, of bittul, that Yaakov, in comparison to these others, so they have the concept of Avraham, who has Ishmael, and Yitzchak, which has Esav, and then the one who doesn't have this problem was specifically Yaakov. So the answer to these two is Sheris Yaakov. Uleneged Mamosh Lemidas Haispashtus Lishmoel, and it corresponds oppositely, it's truly against this attribute of spreading out of Ishmael, Shu Nitzrach, that he feels that you need. That you're needed. And someone who's needed and who needs because of the awesomeness of the breadth of the one's was spreading out of one's heart. But the concept of leftovers, it's the opposite. That people don't need you. You're not needed. And you're extra. So then, if that's the case, how can you say in your soul that you need a lot? Since you yourself are not even needed there. And this is the concept of Avraham Shamar, who said, Anochi afar ve'efer, who said, I am dust and ashes, hepach min bechinas gedula, which is the opposite of the concept of one's own greatness. V'chein Yaakov amar katonti chulusotu. Yaakov said, I am small. That's actually what he said, because he was afraid when he was going to go to meet Esav, specifically katonti. That's what he said, because of all of Hashem's kindness, and that's actually fits very nicely with what we're explaining here. Katonti is that he was feeling that he wasn't deserving of kindness because he wasn't that important. And to this he fixes that his kindness should be drawn from bittul, from the chesed, from bittul, and not from gaiva and yeshus. Al-yidei kli l'gilui v'rav chesed, and through this, he's a vessel for the revelation of great kindness, and nimshach migdula so yizbarich, that's drawn from his greatness may be blessed. Shelo levadu hagdula v'agvura chulu, that to him alone is the greatness, the gdula and the gvura, meaning to say not to you, because you have the bittul, so you show that it belongs to Hashem. And like it says in the Maamar, the land that's of mountains and valleys that we mentioned. And so too, with this you'll flip the second attribute of the clip of Esav, becomes the concept of oneself and holding back and being greedy. Here he does say that it's Esav's attribute, even though he said before Malik. And to be freely giving in charity, since you're not needed at all. If so, how are you going to say, give me to myself? But exactly the opposite. Yashbil is also you'll give to others. Hagar, Beis Shammai, and this is like we said with the concept of Beis Shammai, Sh'amru li ten yoser b'truma, ba'in yofer yoser, to give in truma with a good eye even more. V'chein le'enyin leket v'shikcha, so too with leket and shikcha. Beis Hillel shnaim shikcha shlosha eno shikcha. Beis Hillel says 2 are shikcha and 3 is not shikcha. Beis Shammai omrim shigam shlosha shikcha, v'arba eno shikcha chulu. And Beis Shammai says no, even 3 is considered that you forgot, and you have to give that to tzedakah, and it's the 4th that's not considered. So if you forget 3, you still have to give, but you forget 4, the 4th one you don't, isn't. Then it's not considered shikha. So from the gvura, then you have an extra flow, not a lack of flow, but an extra flow. So too it says by Yitzchak, that he was the one who planted, and he found 100-fold. It's because from the gvura of Yitzchak comes extra flow, extra growth. And I just said, what does it mean, planting? That's charity. Like the pasuk says, sow for yourselves charity. That is because this gvura is in holiness, which is the concept of nullification. So it's drawn from it to contain one's yetzer and to give with an extra strength. And that's the end of that. And if so, the purification of these 2 attributes, kindness and strictness, that fell with the breaking of the vessels, the concept of existence, in order to purify them and elevate them, it's through the concept of nullification, that one nullifies oneself. And this is like the segol. You have 2 dots on the top. One on beneath. So to these 2 attributes, when you change them to holiness, you have 2 dots, one next to the other. And the state of nullification that flips them, and that's the 3rd dot that's underneath them. That's elevating both of them. And this 3rd point, that's a chirek. That's the nekuda that's chirek is just 1 point. That's a state of bittul. That's why chirek is this point underneath the letter, because it fully represents the idea of bittul. Haga. Look what it says in Biur Ezra about the congealing of water, about the firmament that's like the ice. That ice is the same letters as chirek. So ice and is the concept of bittul then. I guess it's connected with water in the heavens. בליקוטי תורה בדיבור המסחיל ביום השמיני נשלח פרק ג' עד כאן הגה. ולכן מסהפך לפעמים נקודה התחתונה דסגול ליגס על גבי שתי הנקודות. Therefore, this lowest point of the segol at times flips to be above the two nekudos. Segol ta, and it's called the segol ta. That's on top of the letter. And then it's above the other 2 points. I guess in Bishorish, or where you're megala from the Gilo Milamaila that comes from the Hamshacha, I guess like a Chosem HaMishapich. And that's what it means. And you'll be for me a segula from all the nations. That you're bitteldik. That you amongst the nations in comparison are like the segol. That it's the concept of bira, bira de chol ha'amim. That segula mikol ha'amim. You're going to do a segol. You're going to be mishapich. The chesed and gvura of Yishmael and Esav. You're going to flip it. You're going to be the segula. Why? From mikol ha'amim, from all the nations. Then it's above the 2 points. It becomes a segul ta. Right. That's what it means. You're going to be a segula from all the nations. That you'll become the concept of segol from purifying all the nations. And that's what it means. And you shall 3 down. You will be the 3rd down, very much so. That is that the godly soul goes down very much. Meaning to be enclosed in a body in this world, to purify from the klippas noga from Esav and Yishmael. That so shlishis means that you'll be bittul like the shlishis, like the segol. The neshama will go down, and you're going to elevate Esav and Yishmael. Maybe he's going to talk about when he starts us Shambi or Mabaisev. Is that it's this idea of Hatmana down in this world on the day that you're doing. Maybe he'll get to that. That seems like there's an obvious follow-up. And from this comes on the Shminis. Look what it says upon the Shminis. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. And this descent is for the purpose of elevation. In order to make this segula to become from segul ta. And that's the concept of shlishis, of the 3rd. Of Vishilashta. So Tered Me'od is before the Vishilashta. And that's what it means. And you're going to be 3 and go down very much. Not just in the neshama, but also spiritually, it's the descent of the Shekhinah into the 70 ministers. The Varer Birurim Chulu, and that's for the purpose of purifying, like we said, Mikol Ha'amim. When Amar Yehonathan David, Yehonathan said to David, Shubichinas Malchus, that Yehonathan is Yisod, and David is Malchus. And Yehonathan says to David, Vishilashta Tered Me'od, that you should go down, meaning to say the Malchus, the Shekhinah goes down. Ki Malchusu B'Kol Mashallah, because the Shekhinah rules over all, meaning to say all the nations and all of the world, to purify. Ksiv, okay, you're doing as is known. The concept of the descent of Malchus for the Birurim. Because Birur Hamidus Chesed V'Gvura, And all of this is in the purification of the attributes of Chesed and Gvura v'Yuvan Ze'od K'mu Kein B'inyan Hamoch in Chabad. So that's the concept of Chesed and Gvura. But you can say this as well with the Mochin of Chabad. Ki b'klipos in lehem rak bez mochin Chochma Bina, because in Klipos you only have the two Mochin, Chochma Bina, ve'in lehem Moach HaDas, they don't have Das. So just like Chesed and Gvura, you have Chochma Bina. You can say the same concept of Segol with the two dots of Chochma and Bina, just like you can with Chesed and Gvura, because there's no third in Klippa. So that's on this idea it says also without das the soul is not good, or the concept of without das is the concept of nefesh lo tov, the negative soul, like klippas, the life force that's negative. Look what it says about the concept of the paraduma, which I guess is purifying the negative. Look what it says in Rabus Veschanan. Do not involve yourself with shonim. What are shonim? These are those who say that there's two powers. Like the statement that there's half of you on top is above, and half of you is below is another power. Like that, those who held the one who created good did not create bad. They divided it into two. So again, this is all the concept of klippa. Like the generation that divided, or that was divided. That they cut the sproutlings. They divide. The concept of katas benetios is to divide in the unity of Hashem. And the root of all this is drawn from the breaking of the vessels in the world of Tohu, that there were two sides. Now this idea of the two and divided and above and so forth is all derech al shamayim kavodo. This is similar to the idea of those who say that his honor is upon the heavens, meaning to say that they hold that Hashem has abandoned the earth. Aval v'shilashta, but the opposite of this is not shonim, is division, but the three. Meaning not just the two of division, but shilashta, the three, the bittul, to show the unity. That's like the idea of that he dwells on high in order to sit. Therefore, he descends to see in the heavens and the earth. Because he's so high, so he also descends to see. And this is the idea that we say kadosh 3 times. He beis pamim kadosh. So we say it 3 times. Again, he hinted to this in the beginning in the Haggah. The idea of 3. Because 2 times kadosh hainu kadish b'shmei miruma ila kadish alara. That the first 2 kadosh, we translate them in Aramaic as he's holy in the high heavens above, and he's holy upon the earth. And those 2 kadosh are drawn from the third one, like we said by the segol, that he's high and exalted. And that's the third kadosh. Asar b'shchintei. From his, I guess, from the place of his Shechina. So too, those who say the one who created good didn't create bad, that they didn't understand that since he's the source of kindness, how can he also come judgment from him in bad? It's not because he's not chesed also. He's not chesed, he's not din, he's not ra. He's beyond all of these attributes. But he lowers himself into these attributes. Therefore, he can be two things. These two attributes, yachad, together. He makes peace in his heights. Water and fire, two opposites. They do not put each other out from this reason that we just said. Because you're drawing down from what's far beyond the attributes, even beyond chokhmah. Like we said, that this also applies to chokhmah bina. Misham nimshach lios is galglu asvan. Tes reish hamorim al tovira, that the letters tes reish are flipped and permutated. The tes reish, hence the good and bad. I'm not familiar with that. Look over that. And this is the concept of the three brains of Chabad. That you have to have Chabad, including Das. Not just two, but in Das as well, which it means it's in Kedusha. Which is not the case without Das. Meaning to say no and understand and know me. Meaning to say it ends the pasuk, you should just not just understand, but also have a idea of Das. And that's why it says specifically you should know today, because it's a concept of Das that's important. Because Avaya is the Elokim in the heavens above and on the earth below. And these three concepts that we said here. So again, Havaya Elokim is in the heavens above and the earth below. Havaya Elokim, meaning to say the Shekhinah, the third idea of the bittul within the heavens and the earth, above and below. The 2 points and the third point. This is also the three things the world stands on. Torah, Avodah, and Gemach are these 3 points. I guess Avodah and Gemilas Chasadim is the Gvura and the Chesed, and the Torah is the Kudshe Brichu V'Araisa. Kol Achad. Look what it says about the idea that there's 3 plantings of the vine in the dream of the Sarah Mashkim in the story of Yosef. V'gam das hu hamuvchar hamechaber chesed v'gvura. So to ches das is unites the chesed and the gvura. Doesn't just unite Chochmah Bina, which is Das Elyon, but it also unites Chesed and Gvura that draws down from the concept of Keser that's beyond Chochmah Bina. And that's the concept of the middle pole in the Mishkan that goes from end to end. Again, that's a concept of Yaakov, like we said. She'eris Yaakov. Look what it says in Likutei Torah that he will enliven us in the 2 days, and the 3rd days he will bring us up. So to Rashi says here, what is Vishilashta? That you'll come on the 3rd day after the Chodesh. So it's the 3rd day. Yom HaShlishi Yikimenu. That's why it says specifically the 3rd will remain in it. The 3rd of Yisrael. Look what it says, that Yaakov remained alone. Again, Vayivaser, the same language by Yaakov. Like we said, that this has to do with Yaakov. And that's again when he fought Esav to bring the bittul to him. The concept of Netzach is Chirek again. and the spheros that correspond with the nekudos. That the chirek is the bittel, and he was pogim. Esav was pogim in the netzach. V'zeu inyan v'yikach lo Yaakov makel livne lach b'chinas goven lovon. That's why it says that Yaakov took a stick that was white and supple. That meaning to say the color white, chesed, luz, varmon, and luz and armon, hem adumim. They are red. He took red sticks and white sticks. Ken kasa b'zohar eichama, Parshas Vayetze. That says in the Parish in the Zohar, Zohar eichama, and Vayetze, Vaynu Yaakov tiferes birer mashanofel b'shviras hakelim mechesed v'gvura. Why did he take a white stick and a red stick? Because he's purifying what fell from the breaking of the vessels in chesed and gvura. V'naseh shlishiyah chagas. It became the third one, chagas, meaning tiferes of Yaakov. V'chein b'korbanos chile v'dam, so to korbanos have the fat and the blood, shem chesed v'gvura, which are kindness and strictness. Kamkin levarer chulu, also to purify. Vayin Zohar chelik aleph vayetze daf kuf samech aleph am b'beis ach daf kuf tzadik beis amud aleph perish arbon memutza ben livne veluz chulu. However, in Zohar vayetze a little bit later in kuf tzadik beis, it explains it differently that armon, so luz I guess would be red, and armon is a memutza between them. Ben livne veluz chulu. Livne is white, luz is red. The armon is the memutza again, so you'd have the third there. Ketzer. So in short, inyan vishilash. So the concept of the third nekudos segel, the nekudos segel shayide nekuda tachtona mafri dayesh meveza nekudos. Yeah, from the third lowest point, you divide the yeshus from the top 2 points. Because the lowest point is this concept of nullification, which is the remains of Yaakov. Also, like the concept of the remains of his inheritance. That our sages sit upon that pasuk, you should place yourself like leftovers. And to this you nullify the desire for extra things. And the also the greediness that you say, give to me, give to me. But it says over there that your cheeks are beautiful with their lines. I guess the two cheeks, turim, are lines of the kavim of chesed and gvura, I guess. You have both of them together in the memutza. And you can say, we can be awaken you that from this comes 3 yomim tovim, shem shlosha regalim, which are the 3 legs. Chen gimel brachos, the brachos kohanim. So to the 3 blessings of brachos kohanim, gimel seudos to Shabbos, the 3 meals of Shabbos. Rosh Hashanah, shalosh shalosh shalosh. And Rosh Hashanah we blow 3 sets of 3 3. All of this is all connected with this idea of 3. The segol, the visem li segula, all explaining this idea of machar chodesh, of Yehonathan, v'shilash taterid me'od.